They had already decided the ending before the match truly had a chance to breathe, before the first tee shot echoed across the course, before the gallery settled into place, before anyone allowed themselves to imagine the impossible. In most people's minds, this contest was already over. CharlieWoods was 5 strokes behind with just 9 holes remaining. Across from him stood MilesRussell, the hottest junior golfer on the planet, a teenager many were already calling the future of the sport. And to make matters worse, Charlie wasn't even fully healthy. He was playing through a wrist injury serious enough that most young players would have withdrawn without a second thought. The smart money wasn't just on MilesRussell winning. It was on him winning comfortably. Quiet laughter floated through conversations on the sidelines and across social media at the idea that Tiger Woods' son could somehow pull off a comeback. Even inside Charlie's own camp, the tone had shifted. His caddy spoke softly about managing damage. Keep it close. Stay respectable. Don't let the loss become embarrassing. But champions don't process doubt the way normal people do. What unfolded over the final 9 holes didn't just surprise those watching. It shattered logic. It crushed probability. And it forced everyone to rethink what pressure really means. And when it all came down to the 18th hole, what CharlieWoods did still feels unreal. If you think you've seen comebacks before, this one demands a second look. Because this wasn't just one of the greatest comebacks in recent junior golf history. It was a lesson in what separates good athletes from the ones who refuse to be ordinary. To understand why this moment mattered, you have to understand the stage. This was not a casual junior event. This was a U.S. Junior Amateur Championship qualifier. Advancing meant earning a legitimate shot at one of the most prestigious junior golf tournaments in the world. College scouts weren't just observing for fun. They were taking notes that could decide scholarships worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Professional agents were watching closely, studying posture, composure, and emotional control, trying to identify which young players could someday survive the relentless pressure of elite competition. The stakes were enormous. MilesRussell arrived as the unquestioned favorite. And when people say favorite, they mean untouchable. At just 14 years old, Miles had already made history as the youngest player ever to make a cut on the Korn Ferry Tour. 14 years old, competing against grown men with families, responsibilities, and years of professional experience. And he didn't just hang on, he thrived. Coaches studied his swing frame by frame and struggled to find weaknesses. Analysts praised his course management, comparing it to players twice his age. In many minds, Miles wasn't simply the future of golf. He was already redefining what was possible. Then there was CharlieWoods, a teenager carrying the most famous last name the sport has ever known, a name that opens doors and magnifies pressure at the same time. Every swing invites comparison. Every tournament becomes a referendum on whether another Woods dynasty can exist. For Charlie, success is never just about winning trophies. It's about proving he belongs on his own terms. What most people didn't know heading into this match was that Charlie was nowhere near 100%. He had been battling a wrist injury for weeks. It wasn't dramatic enough to force him out, but any golfer understands how dangerous wrist issues can be. Your grip changes. Your release feels uncertain. Trust disappears. Charlie's team seriously debated whether he should even play. Resting and healing was a logical choice. But when they suggested withdrawing, they saw something familiar in his eyes. The same stubborn fire that once carried Tiger Woods through pain, pressure, and impossible moments. The Woods don't quit. The opening 9 holes were difficult to watch if you were rooting for Charlie. Not because he played poorly. In fact, his ball striking was solid. He found fairways. He rolled in putts. He did nearly everything right. The problem was MilesRussell was simply operating on another level. Birdies on the 2nd, 4th, and 7th holes. Then an eagle on the par 5-6 that sent a jolt through the crowd. Charlie answered with steady pars, refusing to unravel, but still watching the deficit grow. By the turn, Miles led by 5 strokes. In match play, 5 down with 9 to play is brutal. Not impossible, but nearly. The math demands perfection. You need your opponent to falter, and you need to elevate your game beyond comfort. The ESPN commentators were already rewriting the narrative. The The focus shifted from the match itself to praising Miles' dominance. One analyst summed it up bluntly: CharlieWoods is a great young player, but today we're seeing the difference between very good and truly elite. Social media followed suit. The story seemed complete. Then everything changed at the 10th tee. Later, Charlie's caddy would say it felt like a switch flipped. Nothing physical changed. The injury was still there. The score was still daunting. The pressure hadn't disappeared. But mentally, Charlie stopped trying to survive. He started attacking. The 10th hole was a par 4 guarded by a dangerous bunker on the right. The safe play was obvious. Aim middle, fade away from trouble. Charlie ignored it. He pulled driver and aimed directly at the bunker. The shot started over danger and drew perfectly back into the fairway, leaving a simple wedge. He stuck it to 8 feet and drained the birdie. Miles made par. Still down 4, but the tone had changed. On the 11th, a par 3 over water, Miles hit first and found the green. Safe. Smart. Charlie stood over a 175-yard shot into the breeze with a wrist he couldn't fully trust. The logical play was center green. Charlie aimed straight at the flag. He flushed it. 6 feet. Birdie. Miles made par. 3 down. The 12th was a reachable par 5. Miles smashed his drive and went for eagle, rolling just off the green. Strong but imperfect. Charlie faced 235 yards over a bunker. Every conservative instinct screamed layup. Charlie grabbed a 3-wood. He struck it pure. The ball landed softly and settled 12 feet from the hole. Charlie poured in the eagle. Miles missed his birdie. The lead was suddenly won. You could see the shift in Miles' body language. Not panic, but surprise. His rhythm faltered. His walk slowed. Pars followed on 13, 14, and 15. Each hole felt like a small victory for Charlie. Then came the 16th, a par 3 with swirling wind. Miles at the green, but left himself a long putt. Charlie attacked the pin again, knocking it to 8 feet. Birdie. The match was tied. From 5 down to even. The disbelief was palpable. The 17th passed with pars, tension thick in the air. And then came the 18th, a demanding par 4. Water left. Bunkers right. Miles played conservatively, finding the fairway and positioning himself for par and a potential playoff. Charlie knew safe wouldn't win. He aimed straight at the water. One mistake would end everything. He swung. The ball drew perfectly back into the fairway, leaving just 95 yards. Miles hit the green, 25 feet away. Charlie hit his wedge to 4 feet. Miles missed his birdie. Charlie buried the putt. From 5 down to winning on the final hole. The crowd erupted. CharlieWoods didn't just win a match. He delivered a message. The name on his back isn't a burden. It's a promise.